more than welcome back to Little Miss Dropstitch. Today I'm going to be talking all about charity crafting and my top tips for that. How I've got onto this topic today, well, it's what I've decided to do for Lent this year. Lent's part of kind of Christianity, Catholic. Basically, you give up stuff or do something extra before you get Easter eggs, and then you don't have to feel bad about the chocolate. Of course I'm being facetious, but yeah, just in case anyone's not familiar with what Lent is. So you're meant to you're meant to give up things, but there is, yeah, let's quit while we're ahead. I'm only going to disappoint people. I'm not going to be able to give up chocolate, okay? So every year, since I was little, I was like, I'm going to do extra for my mum, which she might disagree with me. So yeah, this year I said, Mum, sorry, can't do anything extra for you. So my friend Sue asked us at Knit and Natty if we can do some worry monsters, and I'll flash pics up for you because I've donated them, so I don't have one to show you. But yeah, I'll gladly flash pictures up and also put them on the blog post, which I'll link below as well for us. So yeah, my friend Sue asked me to do some, but then, you know, we can never just stop at there. So I went through my craft stash, basically any wool that I'd fallen out with, or also the odds and ends of projects that then just get saved for a rainy day, but have, you know, this has been like 5 years worth of rainy days and they're still there. So yeah, I gathered these all into a bag, and yeah, I've been doing the worry monsters, I've been doing worry worms, lots of worries clearly in the vicinity. The worry worms are for local primary school for them to use in, they call it like the positive pod, rainbow room, kind of where children can go and express how they feel at the moment. And then I've just started with what I've got left after all that. I've started doing squares. So my local Knit and Natter encourage us to make blankets either for end of life, so just giving you some ideas. So the person will have that whilst they're, you know, poorly in palliative care, and then the family do take great comfort, we've been told, from then keeping that blanket that they had. Also could go to, you know, disadvantaged people in the area who might like a blanket, elderly people that are lonely and would appreciate it or need one. That's what I'm up to anyway. I have seen over the years bits on social media and on the websites of charities receiving the wrong things, being overwhelmed, so I just thought I'd go over the do's and don'ts of charity crafting. You know, it works both ways. It means the charity aren't stuck with things they can't use, and it also means that the thing you've put hours into making is actually going to be useful and used as well. First things always first on this channel, so we'll do the do's. And the first do is, as we've said, do use up your stash. And on the worry monsters, I was using like all sorts of weights on it, and it worked, you know what, it worked really well. No one's gonna know. So yeah, I used chunky, and then, you know, Aran and 4-ply and fuzzy wool for the hair. Yeah, they're actually a great opportunity to use up, you know, the fuzzy wool that it's like, what am I going to do with this that's left over? So yeah, and then I'd put like 2 4-plies together, or, you know, DK and a 4-ply, different textures. Really didn't matter, and you know what, they all look brill and anything went, and they look great at the end. So yes, do use up your stash. For me as well, I'm looking at moving away from acrylics, and I pretty much 100% have, but then there's always bits that sneak into the stash. And then yeah, like I said, I've used the kind of odds and sods of the end of projects as well, what's left over. Do, and I cannot stress this one enough, do check what the charity actually want to receive. So yeah, they might not be able to use things that you have in mind to send. So yeah, I'd always look first before just say, oh, I like making baby cardigans, I'm going to make a bulk of them. A couple of example of reasons. Everybody makes baby cardigans or premature items just because they're quick to do, and they might be completely overwhelmed with them and not be actually collecting any at the moment. So yeah, if you send them, they might have to, you know, get rid of them potentially. If they've not got the space to store them or use for them at the moment. So yeah, just kind of give as you'd like to receive and have that in mind. The way you can check this is messaging them directly or having, you know, group contact if it's up for something local. Another reason to check before you make, hospitals, they can have, you know, needs concerning sterilisation and hygiene, And whilst you might know that your dog's not run off with the wool, or you know, you've got a clean home, it's a completely different ball game for hospitals. At our knitting group, we did sew some bonding hearts for premature babies and their mums so they can bond together. And the reason we could do that is because someone's daughter there is a children's nurse at the department, and she'd requested them because then she knows she can take them home, hot wash a few times, sterilise them completely. And she kind of has that knowledge that they will be safe. So yeah, do just check. You won't, and it would be upsetting if you'd, you know, made a lot of stuff and then they wouldn't take it, you know, and you'd done it with all the best intentions. So yeah, just check for everyone's peace of mind with them. Which brings me on to my next point, which is do check the safety rules and regulations. So that could be concerning washing and hygiene. It could be, like we just said, toys. I think someone told me the other week that for donating stuff to charity shops, such as, you know, baby cardigans for them to sell on, they would actually need the ball band information and that on a label to basically tell people how we're washing it, and, you know, say the material content as well, which they'd legally need if they were selling any item of clothing. Also, do include your details so that they can get back to you to acknowledge that they have received your knits, crochets, sewing, card making, whatever. Personally, I only donate my things to places that have, you know, a policy for everyone of if you provide your email to get back to you. If you don't have email or whatever, consider, you know, sending a stamp so they can get back, let you know, and it doesn't cost them anything as well. Because yeah, part of my knitting group, I know we've, you know, donated to, let's say, local things, projects, whatever, and it's really upset them because they've never got a thank you back. And that's, you know, we do buy the wool from our group money and things, so it's good for us to show kind of what we've spent that money on. But then if we don't get an acknowledgement back, it's not only upsetting for all the time we've put in, but then yeah, we've nothing to show for it as well. That's completely up to you. If you're happy to send them and then, you know, off it goes, that's fine, and I'm sure in most cases it will get there. But yeah, for me, I just like to know, especially with our bloody Royal Mail, that's just pick and mix, whether potluck, whether it gets there or not, even with tracking. So yeah, I just like, for peace of mind, to know for both my items and the postage I've paid for has been successful. And my final do, before we move on to the don'ts, so do stick with us, is do make something that you'd like to receive. It can absolutely be tempting to, you know, make things as quick as possible, plough through your wool, you know, as I talked about before, using 2 strands together, doing things super chunky, whatever. But it might not be what the place can accept and receive. So for example, blankets for animal shelters, if they're really chunky or there's holes in them, especially for, you know, little claws, that's not going to be practical or of use to them. And yeah, it might actually cost them to dispose of that. So not only is your work going to waste, you're actually being, you know, there's no way of saying it nicely, being a hindrance to the charity. So yeah, do just have a think about that. Another example is, well, for me now, my stash is mainly all, you know, actual wool, which is fine for like the worry monsters, worry worms that aren't going to get washed. But yeah, something for like a blanket, especially for, you know, an animal shelter, let's say, they're going to be machine washing that and on a hot wash. So yeah, just check your ball band instructions as well. Hurrah! We are now at the don'ts, and I've got 5 of them for you. So first thing, don't be disheartened if they can't accept what you've made. And this is kind of what we've talked about before. An example of that from myself is I got it in my head that I just wanted to make teddy bears for children that otherwise, you know, wouldn't receive one. And I'd made them, great stuff, got all the materials, and I'd, you know, all these teddy bears just staring at me in the night because, you know, I'd made a few and they were all just there. And then I looked where to send them, and I actually struggled. I did find somewhere in the end, but yeah, I struggled, especially like we've said with the safety aspect of people, fire retardancy and stuff, of them being accepted. So yeah, it was difficult. I'm glad I managed to get them accepted and donated, but it was tricky, and it was a lot of time on my part. It's much better to, you know, pick a charity organisation and make to what they want to receive than make something and be stuck with it. Next one, don't forget to make from easy care materials. So we're not just talking knitting, crochet, same for, you know, fabrics, whatever, and include a care label as well. So that means there's, you know, longevity to your makes and the person can receive comfort from your items for longer. I'm thinking in my head, you know, let's say shawls or lap blankets for older people. Do check, because especially more in the market we're getting in the UK anyway, there's acrylic wool blends, and the washing instructions don't just assume that it's the same as for acrylic and can be machine washed. And yeah, just bear in mind things that hand wash would, you know, be a nightmare for places as well. So do include that care label. Don't omit sewing skills, and I will put links below to my mattress stitch tutorials, which is like super professional but actually really easy way to sew up if you're doing knitting and crocheting. Same with, you know, sewing crafts, whatever. Don't omit those sewing up skills. Essentially it's those finishing skills that make the what you've made both practical and usable, and actually look good as well. So let's pretend we're thinking of teddies. Yeah, don't just over sew around it. You know, children, whatever, will get in there with the stuffing, and yet there's just a massive difference between something that's sewn up well and professionally and then something that's not. Use it as a chance to practice your sewing up skills as well. I find mattress stitch quite fun. I've got my friend Sue in mind, not for that story, but yeah, do tag team up. So my friend Sue, you just get given a bag of basically like a knitted jigsaw because she hates sewing up, and I can't convince her otherwise. So yeah, you get all these knitted pieces and then yeah, put them together. So then it's nice, you know, I might not have the time with work to, you know, be doing all the knitting, but she can do that, and then we can sew, and you know, we've done it between us then. Don't ignore the guidelines that the charity have given. Examples I can think of is, you know, for premature or baby unit stuff, they won't want to receive red because it can, you know, kind of signify blood, or black, you know, to sadly signify death as well. So do be mindful of that. Another example is the Dress a Girl Around the World project, but they also accept shorts for lads as well. And they don't want to receive camouflage because, you know, these could be war-torn countries and give completely the wrong message out to people in the vicinity. And also things like, say, because I have loads of Harry Potter fabric from Obi's bandanas. But yeah, just be careful with things with westernized symbols on, because it might mean something different in another country, something like Harry Potter, and then countries where, you know, witchcraft and things are still practiced. So yeah, go off the guidelines, don't ignore them. Don't forget to have fun. You know, don't overcommit and have this massive production line, you've loads of arms and legs, but then, you know, it's too much, you don't get round to finishing it. So yeah, it's important, and I've learned this over the years, not to overcommit. You know, I've said to my friend Sue, like, I think the Worry Monster factory's closed for a while now. You know, I've done 6. Yeah, I'd just like a break and to move on to something else. And don't, a Breezy bonus for you, don't forget to send them off. Sounds obvious, but you know, how many of us has put the effort in and then not got round to either the final bits of sewing them together or just actually sending them off. And the reason I'm urging you to do this, not only to clear room in your house, or more room for wool, but it's also the charity might change what they want to receive. So then by the time you send it off, they might no longer accept that. So yeah, do get them parcelled up and sent off. Well, I hope you learned something from today's video, and I will continue to enjoy knitting and crocheting throughout Lent and using up my stash. Please do give us a like, thumbs up, subscribe and all that good stuff, and let us know what you like to make for charity, or any problems you've come across, and let us know your experiences. Thank you and take good care.